Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score!
Ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
Washed it down with 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary. And I said, Stone Cold, why have one when you can have them both?
Swung out and drilled! Deep right center! Away back! Gone for Tony!
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton?
Awful.
How is she awful?
Hates freedom.
And now, Any Given Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Ward and Ethan Simpson.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Any Given Podcast. Another great episode here this week. We are obviously in separate places again because of dumb shit happens in life. Speaking of dumb shit, if your opinion on the fact that Bubba Wallace should be at fault with everything that has happened in the last 2 weeks in NASCAR stemming from the noose incident, anything like that, I want you to take a look at this picture right here and tell me what exactly is it that you see. Because if I could sit here and tell you, hold on, I'm going to come back to it in a second, but if I could sit here and take a look at this picture, I'm going to sit here and tell you that that is a noose. No matter who's seen it, no matter who reported it, whether Bubba Wallace reported it or not, that is a dang noose, no matter how long it's been there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That is through and through a noose. And like you said, how long it's been there? They said it's been there since last October. Well, still, whoever made that noose knew it was a noose, and they built it like that.
Yeah. Whether it was specifically targeted at Bubba Wallace or not, that's not even the issue. The issue is somebody in NASCAR is just fashioning nooses for the fun of it. That's the issue. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people, and I've unfriended a lot of people on Facebook that I thought were family friends because they were making fun of it. And there was this one lady that posted a picture of like a jump rope and was like, look, NASCAR, I have a noose. See, I could be funny too. Like, no, they weren't being funny. With everything going on, you walk into a garage and see a noose, it's going to freak you the fuck out.
Obviously, and being the only black NASCAR driver and getting the Confederate flag taken out of there, driving the Black Lives Matter car, absolutely. Obviously, that was targeted, maybe not intentionally, but there was definitely a reason why somebody made it into a noose. Not just a pulley system, as the FBI tried to say. That was actually a noose. That's how you hang people.
Yeah, we came on last week and said that they had said that it was, because we hadn't seen the picture yet, they said that it was fashioned into a garage pull door, easy to handle circle. And which, okay, if that was the case, then I've got nothing to say anymore, right? Nothing to say. Last week we talked about it. It was over with. Last week we were even underwhelmed with the fact that we couldn't be pissed about it because we weren't sure. But here we are, pissed again, because we did see that. And now, no matter whether or not you can call it a hate crime or not, it's a news. Clearly identifiable. And the more I see it, and the more you could even hear, I'll put it back up again. The more you could see, it's thick like a noose too. It doesn't even look like it's a normal garage pull door string. Those are normally not very thick. They might not even be made of normal rope. That's 100% a rope fashioned into a noose. There's no way around it. Now, it's probably not big enough to really hang anybody, but that's not the point. The point is it was there. It was seen by somebody. As we said last week, Bubba Wallace didn't see it nor report it. He was just told about it. And as the only black driver in NASCAR going through something as serious as what they've been going through with the Black Lives Matter movement, what you said with outlawing the Confederate flag, not only that, the day before there were protests where hundreds of people put Confederate flags on their trucks and drove by Talladega. It was a big weekend for him, and to be told that there's a noose in your garage, no matter who you are, but especially if you are the lone black driver in NASCAR, it's something to take seriously, whether it was there previously or not. You can call it dumb luck that it ended up being in his garage stall. if you want, but still something that shouldn't be happening. If you want to fashion a circle into your garage pool door to make it easier for you, I can understand that. But to completely fashion a noose, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, whoever made that knew they were making the news.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like we talked about last week, when the FBI came out and said it wasn't a news and they didn't release any pictures, that's where I was kind of like, okay, so was it just like a little loop that they made? And then they released the picture, and that is goddamn for sure a noose.
100% without a doubt.
The way that the FBI made it sound was twine.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was real thin, uh, wasn't even really a rope. Didn't expect when I figured they would release the picture at some point, and I figured then we could actually talk about it in terms of whether or not it was. And here we are doing that. But like you said, I was thinking twine, maybe even something thinner. Definitely wasn't thinking full on rope, full on something you see everywhere. In terms of, and look up a picture of a noose and put it side by side with that picture I just showed you. 10
Mm-hmm.
times out of 10, it's going to be the same thing, except the picture you find might be a little bigger. And I already said that it doesn't look like it's big enough to hang somebody, but it does look like it's big enough to scare somebody and send a message, especially in the times we're in.
Yeah, and to go off how angry we were when the reports first came out about that, I was ready to pop off. I even told you that I was like, we were gonna have to put a not safe for work just at the beginning, like
Yeah.
put an advisory out there, like, look, if you're at work or something, maybe don't play this because that's total BS.
We were both incensed to the point where we wouldn't even talk to each other about it prior to the podcast because we
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to ruin what we could have gave everyone. He could have gave everyone, and 10 minutes before we were told it's not. And I mean, it's almost on us for walking it back, but also like, how are we going to be pissed when we're told something that was contradictory to what we were told 3 days prior when we were really upset? So, I last week I think we handled it okay with walking it back, but now that we've seen the picture, screw all that. That's all out the window. If you're gonna make fun of them, just unfriend me because I'm gonna find you and unfriend you.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and do that because I'm done with the bullshit. I said something to a guy today earlier today at Walmart because he was wearing a Confederate flag shirt. And he was like, it said something like, if this offends you, then get a history lesson. I was like, yo, dude, I can obviously school you on a history lesson, and I'll tell you I will. And if you want to go there, do it. But just to let you know, your shirt's pretty fucking ignorant. This is Lorraine,
Right,
Ohio.
and you want a history lesson? Don't be in Lorraine wearing a Confederate flag shirt. Like that's even more north than
Yeah,
Kent.
this
So
is this is Lorraine, Ohio, bro. Like this isn't Montgomery, Alabama, or Birmingham, Alabama, where they actually were part of that and stuff like that. Even then, it's not an excuse to even show it anymore. It's over. You lost. There's no pride. There's nothing to be
right,
prideful in.
and
Imagine.
there's a lot of sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, imagine uh, the Dodgers being prideful in the 2017 World Series championship that they don't have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I will say one very funny thing was Christmas of 16. Ian bought Kyle a 2016 Warriors championship shirt, which was hilarious. But like that was a joke, you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
these people actually wear the Confederate flag and they say heritage, not hate. Like what are you talking about? Literally, it
Heritage
was
is
built on hate.
heritage is like Irish or Italian, or heritage
Hmm.
isn't Alabaman or no, that's just where you're from, man. Heritage is not. It's not heritage. It's hate. It's like you said. It's hate. But enough with
Yeah.
kind of the downness and the negativity. Obviously something we need to talk about. But let's go ahead and move forward. with baseball finally being back, but I guess it's a little negative with them as well. They are beginning to find positive tests for the coronavirus. Now anybody with a brain knows that that's probably pretty normal that they're finding positive tests. But how crucial is it that it's happening now? Uh, I was gonna say before July 1st, but July 1st is tomorrow. So training camp for
Yeah.
baseball starts tomorrow, man.
Yeah,
Actually,
and sorry, go on.
by time this releases, MLB training camp will have already started.
Yeah. And you know, it's totally crucial, and I don't know why the MLB hasn't taken the steps that the NFL and the NBA have with constantly monitoring and testing their players. And all these people are like, there's Indians players who now have coronavirus, and what's that going to do?
It's gonna
What it's
make
going to do is going to ruin my birthday and a lot of people's lives because they have coronavirus. Which you already know with how it spreads, they've already spread it to their family.
yeah.
And I was so excited. 3 days before my 24th, baseball was coming back. And now they're probably not even going to have a 2020 season.
Well, I think that it's still possible that they come back, but it is very significant that they find it now, right? It's a 2 week waiting period in quarantine, so all those players that are supposed to be in training are going to have to sit in the hotel in their team city. The Indians announced today that they're probably going to be using Classic Park for their training
Mm,
camp, which makes sense. It's close and stuff like that. But say they didn't find the couple players that had coronavirus right now, then you're looking at more putting your whole team out for 2 weeks around the 24th, the 27th, stuff like that. Like you said, the NFL and the NBA, like we found out last week, Ezekiel Elliott has coronavirus. Now he's pretty pissed that it came out, but still, I'd rather find out in June that a football player had coronavirus than I find out August 1st when training camp's supposed to be happening, or when the preseason's supposed to be starting, or even later, the end of August when I'm looking at week one and things like that. Or it's really touchy because I couldn't imagine going into a season in Baker Mayfield getting coronavirus and being gone for 2 weeks.
oh, absolutely. Then who do we have? You know?
If I mean, my thing is if there's ever a very good opportunity for Colin Kaepernick, it's this year.
Oh, absolutely. As long as he can not test positive for coronavirus, then yeah,
As long as he don't have it
absolutely.
too. What do you think the odds are that we're going to see a starting quarterback go down because of COVID, and that's automatic 2 weeks? We already seen Sam Darnold miss like half the season last year with mono.
Right? And that's just mono.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
just kissing a bunch of thoughts out there in Jersey and New York.
He just got himself caught up,
Hey,
essentially.
hey, if I was a starting quarterback, I would get myself caught up too sometimes.
I mean, I probably would too as a starting quarterback, especially of a New York team. They've got those bright lights, that big city
Mm,
around them. It actually, what most people think was the detriment of Odell Beckham Jr.
yeah.
Hopefully Cleveland changes that a little bit. Uh, but speaking of things that were in Cleveland and are no longer, J.R. Smith, former Cleveland Cavalier, crucial in the 2016 title run, is expected to finally be back in the NBA and sign with the Los Angeles Lakers for the NBA's return. Now it'll probably just be a vet min contract for this run coming up. The 3 months they'll be in Orlando, but still, with them losing Avery Bradley, J.R. Smith is going to be a big pivotal role, especially in their bench. They're going to need him to score. They're going to need him to play defense. We haven't seen J.R. since 17 or 18.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Well, 18 to 19 when he left the Cavs. But I know what you're saying. Also, sidebar here. If I send you the picture of all of us with J.R. Smith, can you add it in post?
yeah. Yeah, I'll add it.
Okay.
I could for sure add it in. I'll throw it up there. Uh, uh, Yeah, I can add that in. But yeah, I'll throw it. J.R. Smith, one of my favorite NBA players of all time. There's just something about him. The I don't give a damn attitude. The uh, one of the most electric players
You
I've
want the
ever
pipe.
seen. Yeah, do you want the pipe? I actually explained that to my mom the other day. I think I told you that, but she asked me. She was like, "Why did they call Jr. the pipe god?" And I was like, "Let me tell you a little story about screenshot text messaging."
Right, and that was years ago. What was that, like 12
Yeah, that was
when it happened?
forever ago. He was probably might have still even been a Nugget. It might even be before he was a Knick, honestly. But it would make more sense when he was in New York. They hated him in New York for some reason. No, he was very immature in New York, and New York was trying to win with Carmelo Anthony. Uh, Obviously, that's a different story for a different time. Melo's time in New York very underwhelming, despite the fact that he could have been MVP every single year he was there.
But with LeBron getting JR, I think LeBron is the only guy that JR will listen to. Tell him like, hey, shut up, do your job. You want to be, the Henny god, the pipe god. When the season's over, go do it. But when you're on my team, remember 16, bro.
Yeah, put that ring on my finger. You can go party all you want.
Right? Just, I'm happy that JR has a job back. I'm kind of upset that it's not in Cleveland, but I don't blame him for wanting to leave.
Well, that's the thing.
The Cavaliers now without LeBron.
Exactly. At first, when he first was like, "Nah, I'm not playing," I was pretty pissed. Like, bro, get your shit together and get on the team. You're not that good to be holding out like that. But I mean, at this point in his career. But once it came down to it, and then once more things came out where it was, well, they lied to me. They said we weren't gonna blow stuff up, and then we ended up blowing stuff up, and things like that. Then, by all means, I can't be mad at the guy that doesn't want to play for a team that he thought was still gonna try to contend, and then ended up being like, oh, if we win 5 games, that's okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Um, and like I said, the first shirt I bought after the 16 championship was not, the Cavs 216. It was the J.R. Smith tattoo shirt. I still have it. It's sitting right there in my bedroom. But
I mean, that's awesome. If you know Jr., he'd prefer you not to wear a shirt.
right, I mean, but the best thing is he has the Killer Clowns back tattoo that's on it. That's my favorite one. And he had a bunch of Jordan tattoos
Yeah.
that he turned that he changed the jersey into his own jersey. So, I mean, J.R. Smith, he's a clown in a good way, but he's also a phenomenal shooter, and I think he's the one who really coined the phrase in Cleveland: "Shoot your shot."
Oh, 100%. Even that next year without Kyrie when they went to the finals, JR was like the number 2 guy. When they were getting destroyed in that final game or whatever, game 5.
Hey, you want to be on the podcast or not, Marley?
In game 5, he was just shooting, man, and it almost worked out for him. He almost brought him back, and he was almost able to just do all that and get it all done and stuff like that, and just the rest of the team kind of gave up at that point. They were done. They were like, all right, it's over with. I can't handle it. We're done. LeBron obviously wasn't, but once they lost Kyrie and everyone else gained KD, it was over with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the stake into the heart of Dracula.
Yeah,
Dracula being LeBron, the undead, he can't be defeated, and then Durant just stuck that wooden stake into his heart.
100%. Moving on with the NBA though, Stephen A. Smith late today on ESPN went on a hilarious rant.
Here's the reason you gotta be worried. I wanted to hold off on saying this, y'all, but I can't hold it more. Do we really think that the recreational activities what these guys are accustomed to are going to be compromised for 3 months? I mean, somebody's got to say it. Somebody's got to say it. You really think that people are going to be without their wives or their woman? Okay? I mean, the guys that are married without their wives, the guys that ain't married without their woman. You really think they honoring a bubble for 3 months and are going to deprive? Somebody got to tell the truth.
Stephen A. They've set up pre-concert things.
They're allowed to bring their significant other down there after a month. Hey, listen, after a month, I just said forget 3 months. They gonna struggle with 3 weeks. Why you think they won in Vegas? Can we stop? Can we stop? The issue right now is that you in Orlando for the first month. You got to be alone. You understand? Trust you me. When guys wanted to go to Vegas because they definitely wanted to go to Vegas. I know this for a fact, Jay. I know you know they wanted to be in Vegas. You could have rented out the Wynn and the Encore or something like that. You could have done that, all right, and had some semblance of a bubble, and cats would have been happy. The reason why they're looking at Orlando, they're like, damn, you got to go through gates, you got to go through a lot of hoops just to do anything. That's a problem for them. Somebody got to say it. You said 3 months. I'm saying 3 weeks is a struggle. It's a struggle. Let's just talk what it is. Stop playing the game. That's what's going on. Say what? Say what, Max? What'd you say?
So what are they going to do? What are you saying? After 3 weeks, what happens?
Oh, I'm telling you they're going to violate the bubble. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now.
No more distancing, Max.
Hey, listen. They going to practice social distancing with the general public. But I'm sorry. When it comes to either your wife or if you're not married, your girl, it's a struggle, okay? I'm just telling y'all. That's what's going on here. Somebody's got to say it.
Just another glaring reason why Stephen A. is one of the best in the business. A harder topic to talk about, right? That's not something you really think about when it comes down to it, but really, 3 weeks to a month, and then you're thinking, I'm alone without anything. You know what I'm saying? Something that flew under the radar, and people think of that as funny, but it's really something that I'm sure has went through a couple of their heads, if you know what I'm saying. Just kind of that's kind of where it's at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's not wrong. Obviously, you're a 20-something-year-old millionaire, obviously, and you're in Florida. What do you want to go do?
Yeah,
Go out and see some girls, you know?
Yeah, at the peak of your athletic and physical presence, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to sit in a Disney Channel hotel forever? You want to go party in Miami and Orlando, and you're in like you said, the heart of Florida. You got all those big cities over there. Any of them, just pick your poison over there. And it's kind of, but him insinuating about Vegas. What's in Vegas that isn't in Orlando besides casinos and legal prostitution? What the hell? Is that what he's insinuating?
I'm guessing. I mean, who knows? I mean, where would you rather be? In the middle of the desert or what, an hour and a half away from the beach?
It's a hard call for me. Like I'm not single, so it's not that hard of a call for me. Send me to the beach. But if you're single and you got to choose between Vegas or Orlando to spend 3 months quarantined, I think I'm picking Vegas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that would be a lot more tougher because the casinos and all those places, when you could go and obviously, if you're staying at the Disney resort and the NBA and Disney, they probably have their own private beaches.
Yeah.
I would most likely go to Orlando.
I think it makes a lot more sense to go to Orlando. Like you said, what are they in Vegas? They're going to rent out one hotel. And they're going to have to stick to that hotel and then go to the facility. They probably would have played at like T-Mobile Arena. Everybody would have. That's where they do summer leagues out there. With Orlando, you've seen the schedule. It's eight games a day, each team plays 8 games, 16 nights total. It seems like each team plays every other night. It seemed like that's just kind of the way they went with it, and it makes sense. You got that whole complex right there that they're going to be playing games. First of all, there's probably more than one court. There's probably more than one training facility. It has the means to make it happen outside of just missing your wife or your girlfriend, which is obviously going to be a big deal for people. But if you really want to come back, nobody was forcing them to come back. They chose to come back. I'm glad they're coming back. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the least of somebody's worries.
Yeah, and like you said, nobody forced them to come back. They all agreed to come back. So I don't know. To me personally, Orlando seems like the better bet to keep players safer, but Vegas seems funner, if that makes sense.
Vegas is probably 100% more fun. It's just like you said, that governing body that they're going to be able to establish down in Florida is something that the NBA needs. Uh, you're not going to be able to govern anybody in Vegas. There's too much to do in Vegas. I can see not wanting to leave Disney, um, especially if they bring their kids and stuff like that. Uh, LeBron, just speaking LeBron's half, Bryce and what's the other one's name? Zuri, his daughter.
I think so, yeah.
Could you imagine those two being stuck in Disney for 3 months? Now, obviously, Bronny Jr. is a little older and a little more just into sports, but Bryce is still pretty young, and so Zuri's obviously like 6. So that's like a wonderland for her. So that worked for the family man in the NBA. Disney is probably better. What Stephen A was insinuating was after 3 weeks, the people that can't have access to that family, it's gonna be tough for them to stay in the bubble because they're gonna have to go find some.
Yeah, exactly. And like, the rookies, the second year men, the third, hell, even the fifth year men that aren't married or anything like that, I totally get it. I mean, you're in like, besides California, Florida is like beach haven. So I get those guys wanting to be like, look at all these girls that are on Instagram, that are on Twitter, they're putting their pictures out there, they're in bikinis. I totally get it.
In what could be like by the time they get there, it's going to be the heart of summer. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be middle of July. It's going to be hot. Down in Florida, summer doesn't end till freaking October, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's hot down there year round. It's still 60, 70 degrees in December down there. So it all works out down there for them in terms of heat. But yeah, some Instagram models like, hey, JR, come meet me down here in Miami. You don't think JR is going to jump on that? I mean, he might not.
My God.
Yeah, he might not because he's a vet and he's going to be on a LeBron James team who seemingly has one of the best shots at winning the title. But like you said, Ja Morant, he gets I mean, I don't know if he has a girl or whatever, but if he gets a text about that, why wouldn't he want to go? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But enough about basketball players and their pursuit of, I'm not even going to say it. Moving forward into football, Cleveland Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. was asked on Twitter or responded on Twitter to Dodgers pitcher Alex Woods, tweeting. Alex Wood tweeted saying that OBJ will be a Patriot by the end of the season and to book it. OBJ then takes the time to respond, and as a Browns fan ourselves, I'm sure we're glad that he responded. Catch me in the land. We have unfinished business. I actually have the tweet right here. I'll show you guys. You can find me in the land, homie. We got unfinished business. Unfinished business in the land can mean anything. They didn't really do anything last year. Only won 6 games. But unfinished business, I would like to kind of believe that he's talking about a Super Bowl. Why wouldn't he be talking about a Super Bowl? That's the ultimate prize in all of football. He don't want to just make the playoffs. He don't want to just win the AFC North. In fact, he could care less if they win the AFC North if they win a title. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and that was the whole thing. The unfinished business was because, on paper, the Cleveland Browns were supposed to win the Super Bowl, And that's what he's talking about. Him and Baker and Jarvis and Miles Garrett, they want to make a point that last season wasn't on the players, it was on the coaching staff. So I wholeheartedly believe that that is what he's talking about, and they are going for the ship pretty much.
Like you said, on paper, one of the most talented teams in the league. There, if you take a look at just rosters, there's not many teams that outpace the Browns, especially now with Hooper at tight end, Njoku being healthy, uh, Higgins being seemingly back in the fold, Landry, Beckham. Who else do they have? They've got a couple other wide receivers. They just not. Oh, they just got Peoples Jones. Very
Mhm.
very excited about that. The two headed
They're
running back is just ridiculous.
and they're going to toss in Kareem Hunt as a wide receiver too, as a slot receiver.
Uh,
So yeah, watch out for the Browns. And that's not just me being a homer. That's watch out for the Browns. They're going to be nasty this year, and they actually have a good coaching staff.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm not trying to get behind a coaching staff like I always have. It's just like, and I'm sure I've said something seems different about this year before, but Stefanski has a good head on his shoulders. Barry seems to be making the right moves now that he's not just making moves to dump salary and gain assets. He's making all the right moves to make this team a good team. Now, the way they did it is obviously they dumped all those contracts and got assets and let Dorsey spend the assets, and he spent them fairly well. He built this team, and then now it they brought in Barry to be the smart guy that maintains the team. Uh, very well, very much so. Kansas City is in a good spot. They just won a Super Bowl. But going forward, they're going to be in pretty big cap hell. As soon as they pay Mahomes, it's over.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of what your boys down in Dallas are going through with, you know, Elliott and then the wide receivers and Prescott.
I'm not even sure how they've paid as many people as they have. I don't know where the money's coming from. How Elliott's making 15 million. Zach Martin's making quite a bit of money on the line. Travis Frederick just retired, but his contract was hefty. Tyron Smith's contract is hefty. They just gave Jalen Smith at middle linebacker a huge deal. Demarcus Lawrence is making $18 million a year. Uh, Amari Cooper 20 million. Zeke 17 million. I don't know where all this money is coming from. And then they're like, okay, we will probably pay Dak 40 too. Like how?
Right.
Where? Where's it at? I don't
Yeah,
get it.
that's one of the things that I'm a little concerned about with Beckham and Landry. But I think Jarvis already signed the big contract to stay in Cleveland. And if something does come up from this season, I think Odell's going to stay here. Because Odell, I've been following Odell since 14 when he got drafted. All he wants to do is get a gold jacket.
I was gonna say it might come as a surprise to people, but I think Odell could care less about money.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to worry about it. He already took over Troy Polamalu's Head and Shoulders gig. Like, I think he wants the rings and he wants to be enshrined in Canton. So
It
I I think if he does win it, if they do win it this year, which I am actually, like I said, not trying to be a homer, I am actually convinced that they might win it this year.
Everything's aligned, and they've got the roster, they've got the coaching staff. I think finally, for Odell, I think it's no longer about how much he can get paid. It's about how he can put himself in that conversation with Jerry Rice and Randy Moss and all of those
Mhm.
guys. He could care less about the 25, $30 million a year. He wants, like you said, the gold jacket. He wants to be in that conversation. Is he better than Chris Carter? Is he better than Randy Moss? Is he better than Antonio Brown was at one point? Is he just as good as Jerry Rice? Is he all of those things? Is he gonna be in that conversation for gold jackets and top tens? And yeah, that thing is crooked.
I
Uh,
know that's what. Sorry, that's what I was. It's bugging. It's bugging the hell out of me.
it's fine. You had to take it the other way though. There you go.
Yeah.
Now it's not so crooked, and then it just kind of shifted back. No big deal. But
Whatever.
that's what's
I'll
going. That's what's going on with OBJ. Ready for some unfinished business in Cleveland. It's finally good to hear that he's just enjoying his time in the dog pound with everything. Everybody, every narrative from every single media personality is, except for us in Cleveland, is Odell doesn't really want to be there. He wants the bright lights, the big city. No, Odell just wants his name to be known at this point.
Mhm.
And if Cleveland can do that for him, that's good with him. If Cleveland obviously don't do it for him, then it becomes a problem. But right now, it seems like Cleveland is poised to do that for him. Very excited to see what they do. We last week we both put them in the playoffs. You had them winning the division. I had them being that top seeded playoff team. I just think Baltimore is really good. Now, obviously, Madden curse is a thing. Lamar Jackson was just put on the cover of Madden 21. I'm not wishing no ill will on people, but I've seen it. I've seen it take down bigger men. Antonio Brown, it took 2 years for him to happen. Now he's not even in the league. Only person I
Yeah.
haven't seen Madden take down is Tom Brady. In one of the years he was on it,
Well,
he went out with an injury, and Matt Castle had to take over the New England Patriots.
yeah, and then we're gonna have to see what happens with Mahomes next year.
Yeah, and if Mahomes is the dumpster fire next year, I guess Madden curse is a thing. I don't foresee that. I foresee Mahomes solidifying himself probably as the face of the NFL. Uh, I'm not sure they'll win another Super Bowl, but they certainly have the team to. You know what I'm saying? They're bringing everybody back
Yeah.
that they won a title with. But speaking of playoffs and titles and all of that, we did the AFC last week. We're going to go ahead and go to the NFC. First, we'll do our 4 division winners in the NFC and then our 3 wildcard teams using the new NFL playoff format. Go ahead and who wins the NFC North?
Oh. Um. That is a tough one. Oh. You know what? I'm gonna let you go first, real fast,
Okay,
just because
uh I would like to say the Minnesota Vikings, but I'm going to say the Packers. I'm going to say the Packers just because of Aaron Rodgers. But if the Vikings still had Stephon Diggs, I'd probably pick them. And that's just because of Adam Thielen. But with Diggs gone, the focus is on Adam Thielen. So if Dalvin Cook doesn't have a great year and he's not healthy all year, and Kirk Cousins doesn't play that well, it's over for them. There's once they lost Diggs, it was now you don't have that guy that's double teamed. So how often is Adam Thielen gonna get open? How healthy is Dalvin Cook gonna be? How good is Kirk Cousins really? Um, we know who Aaron Rodgers is. We know what the Green Bay Packers are gonna bring. They're not gonna set the world on fire, but they're gonna be a good enough team to make the playoffs. And sometimes they're good enough to make the championship game, and then they lose to a team that ran for 300 some yards.
yeah. See, that's where I was gonna say. It comes down to Green Bay and the Vikings. But what happens if halfway through the season they decide to put in Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers? Which, on paper, that sounds absolutely insane. But it might happen if they took him 26th overall.
I mean, with there being talk about LaFleur and Rodgers not even being that big of fans of each other, I mean, I guess I could see it happening. I think it'd be pretty absurd to just throw him out there if Rodgers isn't hurt or struggling quite a bit. Uh, let's give this future Hall of Fame quarterback the benefit of the doubt here. Uh, Now, if they decide like it's Love's team moving forward and Rodgers leaves at the end of the year, that's a different discussion that I think is very well possible. But as far as Jordan Love playing in the middle of the year, injury or just pure stupidity by the front office is what that is.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just say Vikings.
Okay,
I'm gonna pull the trigger on that. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if Cook has a good year and Thielen can get open like he normally gets open, they could win I could see him winning it, no, without a doubt. I just think that there's we know what the Packers are. There's a lot of moving parts for us to know what the Vikings are. NFC West, who you got?
I'm probably just gonna
It's probably
49ers.
one of the hardest divisions in football to call.
Yeah.
But I think last year's 49ers team was a fluke, man. I'm going to go with Seattle.
Yeah, I mean that's a great second option too. I mean, a team that has Russell Wilson is obviously going to flourish.
And that was my thing. I think it boils down to Wilson versus Garoppolo. And if I'm looking for more consistent or the guy that's going to be there always, it's going to be Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Garoppolo almost won a title last year, throwing 10 passes total in the final 2 games.
That is true. Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, like, obviously that defense for San Francisco is ridiculous, and Wilson will have to deal with that. I just think Wilson is coming into his own as a very elite quarterback, and it's one thing I like. Obviously, he saw success earlier, but I'm not sure I ever saw Russell Wilson being who he is now.
Okay.
It scares me how good that dude is.
Yeah, I mean, and to be picked in the 3rd round, like, yeah.
Nobody even thought he would they thought he was an afterthought. When they drafted him that year, who was their starting quarterback? They thought it was going to be like Tavares Jackson or some shit. Maybe even Matt Flynn they were thinking was going to start over Russell Wilson, and then 2 years later they had a Super Bowl. Now
I mean, that's one of the things. That's what a little bit scares me about Baker Mayfield because he went number 1 overall. But then again, Baker's always had that chip on his shoulder. So
I think he'll have a chip again this year with that Cam bullshit that they're saying that they called him.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked how you quoted Schefter yesterday, where he was like, they were like, nobody called Cam, but the Browns definitely talked to him. Like, then somebody called Cam, dude.
Right.
The Browns did. I mean, I'm not giving him the job, but I mean, if they think that's a good backup, then that's a good backup. I'm not sure why they would call him after signing Case Keenum to the money that they signed him to, but I'm not going to say anything about that. Moving on to the NFC South. For some reason, everyone thinks Atlanta is going to make this the best division in football. I think it boils down to the Saints and the Buccaneers. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Saints. That first year together as a team is just so hard. Like, I know Tom Brady's probably the GOAT, greatest quarterback of all time at least. He's got the weapons. He's got Mike Evans. He's got Godwin. He's got Gronk back, even though Gronk looks like he weighs 75 pounds. So, like, obviously, if they put all that together, the Buccaneers could win the dang Super Bowl. I just think I'm going to bet on Drew Brees and the Saints team that's been together for the last 3 or 4 years with Alvin Kamara now as their premier back. And to me, the best wide receiver in the league, Michael Thomas on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. The Saints are winning the South. But that's such a close division that kind of any of those teams could win. But like you said, I'm going with the Saints.
Well, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't call you crazy if you told me the Panthers won the division at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Bridgewater won 6 games last year in a backup role with the Saints. I mean, obviously, the Saints have a better all-around offense, but if the Panthers ended up winning the South next year, I wouldn't be that surprised. If the Falcons ended up winning the South, like, I wouldn't be that surprised. I don't think they're that good anymore. I don't think Todd Gurley all of a sudden makes him a Super Bowl contender, unless he gets back to what he was back in St. Louis. And I say St. Louis because he hasn't been shit since L.A. I'm just saying, not really, right?
Hey, I'm not debating that at all.
They moved to L.A. and Todd Gurley was like, nah, it's over with. When he was in St. Louis that one freaking year, he looked like he was going to be the best running back we've ever seen. But they all fall off. Ezekiel Elliott, his first year, looked like he was going to be a certified first ballot Hall of Famer, and now he's really good, but he is not that guy.
No, I totally get it. And speaking of Elliott, let's flip it over to your side of the NFC. Let's talk about the East.
It's the Dallas Cowboys, man. They won it last year if it wasn't for Jason Garrett being so freaking conservative. They'd have just freaking bullied the teams they were supposed to bully. The Cowboys should have been 11-5, 12-4, sitting with a first round bye going into last year's playoffs. But no, they've got Mr. Conservative that can't win a game unless it's by 3 or 4 points. He can't run up a score on anybody, no matter who we're playing, whether it's the Raiders or the freaking 49ers. It doesn't matter. It's always got to be a 3 or 4 point game. We could never run away with against shitty teams. We could never beat the Giants by 30 points. We could never beat the Redskins by 21 points. They always had to be close games. So this year, I think Mike McCarthy will bring a little more consistency to that team, and I just think they're gonna look way better than they normally do. I think Dak is actually gonna beat a team over 500 this year. Because that's what it boils down to. We couldn't beat a team that had a winning record last year.
I'm going to say one thing real fast. Eagles. Eagles.
Tune in next week
Philadelphia.
Tune in next week when Any Given Podcast has a one host again.
Hey, you said the Ravens over the Browns.
You could have said that to me too.
That's why I went with the Dirty Birds over the boys.
No, I mean, NFC East is always hit or miss, and they've got this thing where nobody repeats, and it's not even like a thing, but it's happened like the last 10 years. Like nobody ever repeats as NFC East champions, and I don't think that's what's playing into my decision for the Cowboys. I don't even think being a hometown. I won't say a homer because I've never lived in Dallas, but a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I won't even say that really played a part in that either. I just think with the Eagles, Carson Wentz is hit and miss, man. He's either really good and looks like he's the franchise quarterback of the future and could be the face of the NFL, or he can't see the field. There's no in between. You don't have him, or you have him and he's great.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, but the thing with the Birds is they now have a true backup quarterback. The Eagles?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who
Jalen Hurts?
Oh, man, I forgot they freaking... See, that's a repressed memory from day 2 of the NFL draft. Why would I want to remember that? Because I think he's going to be really good, and I'm scared that he's a Philadelphia Eagle. Not going to lie. He's just got so much experience at 2 big-time schools with 2 different styles of play. He's got the NFL style of play at Alabama, and then he also went and learned that West Coast offense over there at Oklahoma. So I think he's got the tools to be a very good quarterback no matter where you take the offense with him. And he's also got a very strong arm. He's not a typical running quarterback like they always try to make him be. Yeah, he's fast. Yeah, he can take off and run, but he's also got the arm strength of a god, man. And I hate that he's an Eagle. Maybe I repressed that because I forgot.
I know. As soon as I said that, you were like, backup quarterback, and I was waiting for you to for it to click. Jalen Hurts.
Well, knowing you know where my mind went, right? I was like, I know the Patriots. I know the Patriots just signed Cam, but no way they traded Brian Hoyer already.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, no way.
Shit, I mean, I am wearing.
I know the Brian Hoyer MSU shirt. That's what I'm saying. When you say last week, you said they've got a real quarterback in Brian Hoyer. Before we started talking about the Patriots.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. I think they're gonna chalk that up to Cam is starting the season, but hey, you know what? As long as Brian Hoyer's getting paid and he can take care of his kids, I don't care. He can sit on the bench anywhere.
Sure, he can take care of his kids. My man's been making $7 million for the last 8 years at this point. 7.
I just we talked about this months ago, but I have those Hoyer jerseys that I'm going to send up to One Patriot Way and have those all get signed. So everybody's going to have signed Brian Hoyer jerseys now.
Screw the Patriots, man. Moving on. NFC wildcard teams. Who are your three?
NFC wildcard teams. Okay. I'm going to go Packers. I'm going to go Falcons. I'm going to go Panthers. And then I'm going to go, this one might be kind of odd to you, but Giants.
First of all, there's only three wildcard teams, my man.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
I mean, you're good.
My bad. I completely did that wrong. What I meant was Packers, Falcons, and Giants. That's what I meant. Sorry, I was just trying to drop the Giants bomb on you.
You think the Cowboys finish at least third in that division? Because that's what has to happen for the Giants to get in the playoffs, right? You've got the Eagles winning and the Giants making the wild card. So the Cowboys are going to finish third in the East, man. You breaking my heart right here on live video.
Do you want me to give the bullshit that I was going to say about the Giants, or do you want me to give you the truth?
Give me your bullshit about the Giants. Let me hear your BS, man.
What, Daniel Jones? Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah.
Daniel Jones is the truth. But to be honest, yes, obviously it's going to be the Cowboys. But
well, see, here's my three. I think you're crazy with the Falcons because there's no way Tom Brady doesn't make the playoffs in Tampa Bay. So I think the Saints win the South. Tom Brady gets that first wild card spot out of the South. I also think the 49ers are the second wild card team because I said the Seahawks will win that division, and then I think the Eagles. I think, like I said, I think the Cowboys win, but I don't necessarily think the Eagles are going to be a very bad team. If they've got their quarterback.
So nothing about the Packers though.
I had them winning the North.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I guess the Vikings. That break threw us off a little bit, but yeah. So stop it. That's my little microphone doing that little stupid stuff on my headset. But yeah, 49ers could very well win the West for me. The Eagles, few things hit or miss. They can win the North. Unfortunately, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I have to admit that. I mean the East. I don't know why I said the North. And then who else did I say? Tampa Bay. Like I said, Tom Brady is now in Tampa Bay. Now I don't necessarily know if they could put it all together to be good enough to win a Super Bowl, but I definitely think they could be good enough together to beat out Atlanta or Carolina in the South for a playoff spot. But no, the Minnesota could very well be in the playoffs as well. That's the thing. The NFC is packed, man. There's so many teams that could be very good depending on the week. You know what I'm saying? Tampa Bay could be a Super Bowl contender. New Orleans, Super Bowl contender. Green Bay could be. Minnesota could be. Dallas could be. Philadelphia could be. Anybody in the South really could be if they put it all together. San Francisco, Seattle. There's like 10 to 12 realistic teams that could be a Super Bowl contender in the NFC, while there's like 5 or 6 in the AFC.
So, do you know what PFF tweeted out 13 hours ago?
Pro Football Focus?
Yeah.
No, what'd they say?
They believe the Lions are the best bet to win the NFC North. And hold on, before you laugh like that, I have been a stern fan of Matthew Stafford since he got drafted. He's a great quarterback. He's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you there. I think Matthew Stafford can very well be a Hall of Fame quarterback. The thing is the man's coming back from a broken back, bro. A broken back. You know who else came back from a broken back? Tony Romo, and then he lost his job to a 4th round quarterback named Dak Prescott. And guess what Tony Romo is doing now? He's up in the booth when Dak Prescott got his job, looking at $40 million a year.
Yeah, getting paid more than Prescott though.
He is getting paid more than Prescott, though. I can't knock Romo, man. He got out at the perfect time. He does his job immaculately. He's really good. If you want to do play by play, strive to be that man because they're throwing money at him. ESPN offered him like $30 million a year.
Right? He was Papa John's. He was Corona. He's all those.
He pretty much. John Gruden went back to coaching, and Tony Romo took all his damn endorsements.
Hey, why not? Isn't that what we got in this business?
Give me all the endorsements. We know advertisements are where it's at. Sponsorships are where it's at. Speaking of, what you got for me, my man?
Hey, look, Father's Day is over. Mother's Day is over. You looking for a present for your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your grandfather, your grandmother? Look no further. KentStagePosters.com. That's right, KentStagePosters.com. You can get all of your favorite posters from all of your favorite artists that you have seen live at the Kent Stage. It's really simple. They're really cheap. Just go to KentStagePosters.com. And you can trust me because I built the website.
That has been a sponsorship live read by our co-host Ethan Simpson on a website that he created. If you would like to reach out and sponsor the website, please email us at anygivenpodcastcle@gmail.com. We're going to continue to do that. Kent Stage Posters, obviously a big supporter of us, so we're going to continue to support them no matter what. But if you would like us to do live reads, commercial breaks, put your logo and name on our overlay above our faces, wherever you want it in the video, reach out. We can make that happen. Obviously, we're looking for a little sponsorship, paid advertisement, stuff like that. But we would love to make it happen for you guys. You got anything else for me today, Ethan?
They need to make a pill that when your voice cracks, it'll just like cover it up. No, I don't. I think that's about it for now.
So Bubba Wallace, we got into that a little bit today. A little bit of baseball finally coming back. Don't be scared that coronavirus tests are coming positive. I'd rather them find out now than later. Stephen A. Smith thinks that prostitution should be legal in the NBA. That's not exactly what he said. Check it out on ESPN. Don't quote me on that because I'll be canceled. J.R. Smith expected to join his buddy LeBron in L.A. and sign with the Lakers for the NBA's return. OBJ happy in Cleveland, unfinished business. And Pro Football Focus thinks the Lions are going to make the playoffs, which is absolutely absurd. This has been Any Given Podcast with your co-hosts, Brendan Ward and Ethan Simpson. You can follow me at BWardCLE. You can follow Ethan at
ETH Simpson CGOD.
We ain't got the email one more time. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Podcast Given. On Instagram at Any Given Podcast. On Facebook, Facebook.com/Any Given Podcast. Go ahead and email us if you have any questions, comments, concerns. If you want to tell me you hate me, go ahead and do that. I might say it back. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. God bless. Stay blessed.
Stay safe.